Hello there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about Way of the Gun. Now, Way of the Gun is the first movie by Christopher McQuarrie. Before he made this, he'd written The Usual Suspects that made him, won him an Oscar and made him one of the hottest screenwriters in Hollywood. And this film kind of killed all momentum for a while. He came back later on with writing Valkyrie, and then he started directing stuff with Tom Cruise. He did first Jack Reacher and the last two Mission Impossibles, which is was Rogue Nation and Fallout. He's one of those people who's always interested. He also did the rewrites of Ghost Protocol, the Mission Impossible movie. He did rewrites of the Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, whatever you call it, because he keeps on changing his title. And last he also did the some rewrites on The Mummy, and one of many people who got the blame for that one. But yeah, he's always been an interesting writer. I mean, you can see Bryan Singer's career without Chris McQuarrie is always a lot less interesting because he doesn't have those scripts that are more interesting. And this is his first film when he was still working out how to survive in the industry. This is when he was trying to be a rebel and do a hit, because he couldn't get anything made by a crime film. He made a crime film that would be annoying to people who wanted a traditional, easy to follow crime film. What he made was a film with a basic plot, but with characters who were quite difficult to peg, and your relationship to the characters would be complicated, which is what he was trying to do. And it killed his career because it made a character-based action movie, crime movie, where the criminals are scumbags. So it's one of those films he himself seems to be pretty low on. He's pretty critical of it a lot of times, you know, which I think is unfair of him on himself, because it's actually a very good debut. I mean, it's a really solid debut. I mean, it's not a Citizen Kane level debut, it's not a Heather's level debut, but it's a good, solid first film. He should not have been in movie jail for years for this one. This was like, yeah, he can direct. They just try and push him towards something that's a bit more normal and you probably get something, but then he was in movie jail for ages. Which is just strange because couldn't anyone spot there was talent there when they saw the film. So the idea is, it's these two criminals, Parker and Longbow, which are the name of the Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid. But you don't know if that's their real name, that's the names they've given themselves. They kidnap a surrogate mother who's about to give birth to a baby for a guy who launders money for the mob. They don't know that at the time, they just see that there's a surrogate mother with a protection group around her, that all these professional people, and see this is a money situation, they can get money off this. Unfortunately for them, it's mob tied, and even weirder for them, they start the robbery, then they realise they're out of their depths, to try and back away and not commit the kidnapping, and then because the security guards come at them anyway, rather than just let them go, and then the mother tries to make a run for it, she ended up with her anyway, despite the fact they didn't even deserve to, which is a funny twist. And then from then on, it's all about the what's going on with this mother, who is she, who are her ties to this family, what are the pressures on the family, because the guy's laundering mob money, so if he pays these guys off and they get caught with their money, it will come back to him, so he can't actually pay the money. And also, and this is spoiler territory now, the surrogate mother is the son of one of the guy's best friends, and so everything's very complicated. So the guy he has to send after the criminals is the father of the woman, and it's all very complicated. The doctor is the son of the mob launderer, and he's in a relationship with the woman as well, and everything's very complicated. It's like a bunch of people who have been stuck together forever, and all of their ties are with each other really. They don't really have outside ties anymore because they're so linked in the profession, in their lives with each other. And because it's a criminal enterprise, they can't really go outside that link much because they're criminals, really, and they're trying to look as if they're not. So they don't really trust anyone outside, so they're damned because they're so insular. And these two guys come at them with a wrecking ball and just seems to destroy everything. So you're getting these both sides. You're getting the criminals and their relationship with this woman as they've kidnapped her and as they're trying to get the money. And you've got the criminals who know they can't pay, and there are all these weird factions between them. And so there's a lot of paranoia and a lot of tactics, and they're insulting each other, trying to work out how to move to get for their own advantage. So at least a lot of sequences of people talking and plotting and not doing anything. And then when violence happens, it's really brutal. So I think it's what's interesting about the film is the stuff that made it unpopular was there's so much talking, which I thought was fascinating because you could see people talking and plotting and thinking, and I thought it was interesting what they were talking about. I thought it was there was a lot of good actors like James Caan, Scott Wilson, you have Nicky Cat, you have Taye Diggs, and Dylan Cuspin. They were all in that family. And then in the kidnappers is Benicio del Toro and Ryan Phillippe, and the surrogate mother is Juliette Lewis. So everyone can act, and everyone's been subtle about everything they're doing, and no one's acting like a moron. So you have to pay attention to what everyone's saying carefully, because what they're saying might not be the truth, or it might be a half truth, or it might be leading someone on. And then but also they can think they're leading someone on, and the person might be playing along but not be fooled. So you have to always pay attention, and then when it gets to the violence, it is really brutal because it's really unsentimental. Because you have characters doing things, characters who you may sympathise with at some point doing things that are horrible, that are done by characters you should never sympathise with in a film. Like, you follow Park and Longbow for a while, you realise they're criminals, you see them do this horrible act of kidnapping a surrogate mother. Then you start to know them a bit better, and just when you think you're getting to know them, they do a horrible torture scene. And that kind of shakes you. But even then, it's also punishing you for getting involved, because you want to be emotionally involved in someone. This film's saying you can't be. Everyone has a point of view, and everyone is flawed. And it's always punishing you for being sentimental towards these people, because that's your natural feeling in a movie. You should feel sentimental towards someone. You have to attach yourself to someone in a story. And this film's always punishing you for that, because it's like whenever you're stuck with somebody, they will do something weak. They will behave in a horrible way. And that's what's so great about it. I mean, you rarely get a film where the two main characters are pretty evil. You know, they have a human side to them. They're very human in sorts of ways. They're not like pure evil, but they do things that are just horrible. The whole plot's focused by them, by their actions. And so, you know, you have sympathy for them. You have sympathy towards a criminal who should be in jail. And then you find out where they actually exist on the social scale, which is they don't really have any options. This is their life. They don't have any options in mainstream society, so they're criminals. And they're unsentimental with that. And Benicio del Toro used to be a bagman, and the bagman's a name for someone who's the middleman between the criminal who wants to stay clean and the person in the criminal world that has to be paid off. So, and he used to be that, so he used to be connected, now he's not. So you never know what happened there. But it means him and James Caan as a bagman for this guy they have something in common. But it does not mean they will not be sentimental to each other. They won't be. They try and be civilised. So all these interactions are always fascinating. And the performances are terrific. And the action when it comes is always unusual. Like, they leave out stuff you'd normally see in a film. Like during the kidnapping, they stick with the kidnapped victim rather than all the shooting that's going on outside. And during the car chase, it's the slowest car chase ever, intentionally, as you see them trying to outthink each other and mess with each other as they're trying to get away. And that's brilliant, because they're just fucking with each other the whole time. And then later on, they're trying to work out the criminals are making mistakes, but they're also trying to be tactical. So nothing they do is entirely great but entirely awful either, in tactical terms. But it's complicated, so you have to pay attention to what they're doing. Because they know they have to lay a trap for the other side, because the other side's not going to play fair. And their trap goes wrong. Everyone's tactics always go wrong because someone always messes with it. Someone always reacts in some way that always messes with the plan, and every plan goes to hell. So it's really interesting that way, it's really fascinating. So I saw this film when it came out. I didn't see it in the cinema, but I saw it in video as soon as it came out. And it's great. It's always had this weird reputation of an underrated film. But it's never really been brought back up as something to see. It's always been kind of ignored. I think it did better over here in Britain than it did in America. But it's always been underrated, and even now, a lot of people seem to think McQuarrie's first film was Jack Reacher when it was actually this. And this is a better film than Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher's a good film, but this is a better one. This is really interesting. And it plays more. And repeat viewing, there's something fascinating. And it has a really brutal end sequence when all the parts come together and finally guns have to come out. Interesting things happen. And again, a lot of it's character-based things. People reveal their true sides, and people have to survive. And they'll do what they have to survive. So it's a beautiful, wonderful film. It's very underrated. I place underrated a lot in this video because this one is almost the definition of an underrated film. It's really fascinating. And I kind of wish that Christopher McQuarrie would be a bit higher on his own first film, because it's a lot better than he thinks it is. It's really a nice little film. It's a very 70s feel, and it's very unsentimental. It's got its flaws, but nothing that can be forgiven if you're watching a first time director. It's really one that's worth seeing. So that's Way of the Gun, so go see it.